Thank you for that, Shivanya, and our music ministry. You like the shirt? I got at convention. And I thought, oh, today's the day to wear it. And because today's message really is about, it's for anyone seeking greater love. Anybody seeking greater love in this room? Right? Like a greater experience of love, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're seeking a relationship, whether you're healing from a relationship, whether you're deepening your relationship with your own essence and presence and the ways in which God is flowing through and as you. It's interesting because I woke up and I thought, I see what's going on in the world, and I saw what most of us woke up to with the Middle East, and I just thought, gosh, is there a shift in the talk, right? Or in what I need to share? And I thought, no, especially today, to talk about love, to talk about the ways in which we can be greater vessels and expressions of that love. You all know me, you all know what I stand for, you all know how I like to show up. And so, if you're called to go to rallies, if you're called to, stand for love in different ways, I'm going to be there with you, right? And I do trust that as we do all those things in the world outside of us, that we are partnering with the work that has to be done within us, right? Because I don't think it's a matter of choosing one over the other. It's about recognizing that we are 100% human, we're 100% divine, we live and have our being in this world, and there is an inner world. And the more that we bring them into partnership, the more that we lean on both of them and show up wholeheartedly in our divineness and in our humanness, the greater expression of all that God is and all that's been implanted in us we can be in the world. And so, of course, this is the perfect time to speak about love, because we are needing to go deeper. I believe that we are needing to go deeper into what love is asking us to recognize about ourselves and about our relationships. And from that space, have such a foundation that when we go out into the world, we not only recognize the things that we don't stand for, but we know the things that we're envisioning and taking a stand for. And so this is the power of what we get to sort of work through here in Unity, the recognizing there's a whole inner world that gets expressed out. And the more that we clean up our stuff, the more that we show up in the innocence and in the essence of the divine, the greater of an experience of God not only will we have, but those around us and really humanity will have. Amen? Everybody say love. Everybody say love. Everybody say love. Okay, all right. I told you I'm going to get you all tired of it, but no, because we can't, right? We can't get tired of it. We can't get tired of recognizing the power of love and going deeper into that love and expressing and sharing that love. The healing is needed in the world. The healing is needed in this world also. And so Harold Sherman, a Unity writer, said this: true love must be shared. It cannot be hoarded. To be blessed by love, it must be expressed, not repressed. How many of you have found yourself repressing a little bit of that love when you look out into the news, or you look at a picture of somebody and you're like, not to you, right? Not to you. Been there, okay? Been there, right? And the more that we repress our love, the more we think we can repress it in all these other areas of our lives. And the more power we give about to limit our love. And so in face of the times that we feel like we want to repress our love is exactly the moment that we must express it, so that we know with a clear idea, with a clear consciousness, that there is no limits to our love and what our love can do. There's no limit to the power of that which is within us, except for the ways in which we limit it. And so we are about expressing, not repressing. We're about sharing, not keeping away. And we're about owning our stuff so that we can be the greatness of our stuff out into the world. Now, anybody seeking an intimate relationship with a boyfriend or a couple of boyfriends or a couple of girlfriends, maybe a husband or a wife, anybody looking for that kind of intimate relationship, raise your hand. Okay, keep those hands raised. Those that raise your hand, look around and make sure that you reach to each other after the service. Nobody better be getting up now, after on your way out, okay? Now some people are like, Well, how about this? Anybody seeking greater harmony in your relationships? Oh, okay. Well, some of you are doing pretty well. Okay, I love it. How about anyone tired of relationships and just want to become a hermit? Yeah. Now, those people that want an intimate relationship, look around and see who raised their hand. Do not go up to them. They are not ready for you. They are not ready for you. And I get all of it, right? And it's interesting because the more I've been in my own relationship with Tom, many of you know my husband, the greater I recognize that, you know what, we've got something good going on, and I want to share about that, right? Like I want to own my relationship and who I am in that relationship, and doesn't mean that it's perfect, but it means that it's something that I've worked on and Tom has worked on. You know, we've really, next month, we celebrate 15 years of wedding bliss. Yeah. Eddie Dominguez just made this face like, you should see my face, Eddie, when I realized that. But we've been together for over 17 years now. Relationship bliss, amazing relationship, uninterrupted love, wonderful friendship, no hardships, no real issues, smooth sailing, exactly the kind of relationship that you would expect a minister to have. And make sure that you don't ask Tom, because he's just going to say the same thing to you. It's going to be the same answer. So do not ask Tom. You hear that? Do not ask Tom. A waste of time, because he will repeat. And if he doesn't say the same thing, you let me know. Okay? But you know, it's true. And actually, you know, in the last couple of years especially after COVID, we got to the place where we would be doing certain things around the house, in the yard, out in the world, and we just would look at each other. We look at each other and we just say, like, can it get any better than this? Because that's how we feel about our love. That's how we feel about our relationship. Not 100% of the time, but more so than not, right? And it does help us in the moments where we don't feel that way. And it does help me in the times when I'm like, ooh, I love this guy, and gosh, do I, what's going on here? And it's all part of us going deeper into the essence of who each of us are and allowing us to connect in the essence of what is really taking place. Many of you know that one of my favorite Bible verses is Matthew 18, verse 20, that says, where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am also. And yes, a lot of people take that to mean in prayer, but I take that to mean God is in our relationships. Right? Like, it is in our relationships where we get to experience more of who we are. It gets to be mirrored back at us. It gets to be reflected at us. And it is one of the ways in which we get to experience God itself through our relationships. And so where two or more are gathered, God is. Not just on Sundays at church, not just at the dinner table, not just at the therapist's office, even in the middle of disagreements with somebody that we love. Even when we're disagreeing with ourselves. How many of you are working on that relationship the most, right? Like, you know, loving ourselves even when it doesn't feel comfortable. And even when we show up in the ways that we may not have wanted to show up, right? So this that I want to share with you about love is in our relationship with God, in our relationship with ourselves, in our relationship that are intimate, in our relationships and in our acquaintances, in the ways in which we just simply show up in the world. Because guess what? The world is full of relationships, and our world is colored by them, and we are colored by them. And we get to choose to show up consciously in each of those for a greater healing to take place. Gabrielle Bernstein in The Universe Has Your Back says this: about relationships and showing up with intention. Each instance is a holy encounter, providing a divine spiritual assignment in which you can choose to heal or to stay stuck in the bondage of your past. She goes on to say, if you choose to show up for these universal assignments with a willingness to heal, then miracles will be presented to you. But if you are unwilling to show up for these assignments, you will stay stuck in the stories and the experiences that do not serve you. How many of you are ready to release and let go of the past that has kept you stuck, of the hurt and the pain that may even be within you that is seeking to be healed? In our relationships, we have a great opportunity to be working through a lot of that, at least to be able to recognize what those things are needed for healing so that we can do the work. And the more that we are willing to show up, even when it gets hard to show up, the greater opportunity for the potential to rise up. See, relationships are not about completing us, but I do believe that they reveal us. You get that? And that's part of the beauty of being in relationship. They don't complete us, but they reveal us. How we show up in them tells us the things that are within us. The good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, all of it, for us to ask ourselves, all right, is this an opportunity for healing, or do I just want to get stuck and be a part of the past, right? They don't fix us, these relationships, but they show us where we can heal. And it's really interesting. I was at Unity Conference, and Jim Rosemergy, some of you know who he is, an author and a mentor in the past to Unity on the Bay through Reverend Chris. His session, basically, it boiled down to the first line that he shared with us, which was, an unanswered challenge is divine potential unrealized. An unfaced challenge or an unanswered challenge is divine potential unrealized. And so maybe there is a little bit of friction or some growing edges within your relationships, and can we face them? Can we face them so that we can see the vision and the potential that is within, and we grab it and we move with it and we are empowered by it? And so what kind of friction in your relationships have you been running away from? What things don't feel so good? And by the way, in a healthy way, right? We're going to get to that. But what sort of things make you feel a little uncomfortable that is seeking for you to be uncomfortable for the healing to take place? This is an opportunity to live into the potential and to recognize our wholeness through it. Now, what's been really interesting about this process is that, and I love the songs that were chosen for today. And the theme was love and relationships. Did you get that all of them were about God? They were all about God. And Byron Katie says this: all love songs make sense if we remember what is that we truly love. If the you of a song is another person, then the song is a lie. It has to be, because we can never find our completion in another person. It always comes back to us. She continues on, so when we put God in the you of these songs, we see how true they are. Every love song is written for God by God. Every relationship is a relationship between God and God. Every relationship that we're a part of is the divine Christ presence, having a relationship with the divine presence of another. And the more that we recognize this truth, and the more that we allow ourselves to move through our relationships from that consciousness, the greater healing takes place, the greater wholeness we live into. And guess what? The greater peace will be out in the world. The greater harmony will be in our world, at home, at spiritual community, at work, out in the world, wherever it is, right? And so this is an opportunity for us to seek to know the divine presence within us, and then to work in our relationships to be able to go deeper into that. Relationships are not perfect. Anybody have a perfect relationship? It depends on how you define perfect. Good job, Tom. Nancy Harrington, your husband raised his hands. So I don't know what he gets out of that, but you better give him something for that. Now a few other people are going to be like, But no, relationships aren't perfect, because guess what? They involve people. All relationships involve people. I'm reminded of this poem. When I was in college, this college friend of mine who was a poet just wrote something. I can't remember any of her poetry except for one line. I love her because she's imperfect. I love her because she's perfect for me. Do you get that? Like, we can be in the face of that which doesn't feel perfect, that there are some rough edges to it, and trust that it's perfect for us. Because the perfect space for healing and the perfect space for our spiritual growth is in the spaces that still have that little bit of jaggedness. Now, it's about being comfortable with it enough that we use it to heal ourselves and use it to bring us closer to God. Paul Ferrini lays out 7 spiritual laws of relationship that I wanted to invite you into. And so if this is for a relationship that you're envisioning, if this is for a relationship that you currently have, if this is for the relationship that you have within yourself, I just invite you into some of these practices, because I believe that these are some of the practices that have really served me. And if you ask him, I'm sure that Tom will say, have served us. And so what are the 7? And I know that they seem idyllic, but isn't that what visioning is, right? Visioning the idyllic and walking further into it. Visioning what may not have seemed possible in the past, but remembering that with God, all things are possible. With God, we can make the impossible the reality of our experiences. And so the first one is simply being committed. Being committed to showing up authentically, even when it gets rough, to be in those relations for our growth and being committed to the growth that happens. It can get hard. Let me tell you, how many of you at the beginning of your relationships kind of hit some of the stuff that you didn't want your relationship? Tom did not know I didn't even drive for like 2 months in our relationship. We made it through, right? But we became committed more and more to showing up authentically, to being committed to allowing ourselves to feel safe. So, you know what? There were things that Tom kept from me at the beginning of our relationship. How was I making it safe for him to show up authentically? How was I allowing myself to feel safe so that I could show up authentically? The safety is not real if the commitment is unrealistic and not real. But when there is that commitment, and actually, let me say this, the power of saying, I am committed to us. Think about your relationships. Which relationship do you have that is in this very moment asking to hear from you, I am committed to us. I'm committed to us. I'm committed to us. And in that commitment and in that authentic space that we create, the sharing that takes place, to offer our truth and to listen with an open heart. To me, what that says is, do I take time to share my vision about what I want life to be, right? Without a vision, the people perish. Without a vision, relationships can perish. And so sharing our visions, sharing our values, sharing who we are, sharing what makes us, and allowing people to share what makes them them, and to do so from a place of like openness, to really hearing what is going on, to not make the sharing wrong when it feels uncomfortable. How many of you have been into those situations? Like, this is not easy, right? But this is about evolution. This is about growth. Evolution is no longer taking little steps. We are being asked to take leaps of evolution into the world that we want to create for ourselves. And so the open sharing, the growth, being committed to growth and allowing growth to take place to support each other's becoming, not just your togetherness. Do you hear the difference there? How many of us cling to people and the way that people are or should be without allowing for growth to take place, allowing people to become self-actualized in the way that they want to be, and allowing ourselves to become self-actualized in the ways that we are called to be. At the first service, I shared a little bit about a recent experience, because like I said, Tom and I are imperfect in our relationships only for the sake of me having stories to share with all of you. But a couple of months ago, he wanted to start playing volleyball again. And he could only play volleyball on Sundays and actually Thursday nights. And I already talked about the Sunday part at the first service. I'll share with you the Thursdays. And I was like, what? Thursday's the one night that I don't usually stay home stay at work late. And that's the night you're going to play volleyball? The one night that I'm supposed to be at home with you? And I was like, oh, so that means Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, he's doing that for me, right? And it was a hard pill to swallow, actually, especially because I didn't show up in that way at the very beginning. But I was reminded a couple of days ago, I saw something on Instagram that I want to share with you. It was from Young Pueblo, and I love this, about growth and supporting each other's growth and what we are becoming. Loving someone means appreciating the wide range of their personality. No one is the same version of themselves in every single moment of their life. An individual is more like a prism. Depending on where you stand and how you feel when you look at them, they will shine in different ways. You're only looking for a 2D version of somebody, that's what you're gonna get. But imagine allowing somebody to be their full self and continue to become their fuller self. All of a sudden, we get to experience the many different ways in which their light and their prism shines, the way that love is calling you into them, the way that joy is being expressed, and the ways in which we are invited to know that we are prisms ourselves, so that we ourselves don't keep us from growing out of a fear of losing a relationship or changing a relationship. That in itself can help us lose the relationship, or at least be in a relationship that isn't 3D, that isn't real, and that doesn't allow for the evolution that we are all about, because we are evolving and involving ourselves in the presence of God. Another commitment that is something that we're invited to do is communicating and looking at how we're communicating, and speak with honesty, not blame. Do you get the difference there? I did this morning, yesterday, when I was telling Tom this is how I feel. There was a little bit of blame in there, and I'm invited to explore the ways in which that blame and that guilt was showing up in that conversation. There is a difference in being clean in what we are expressing about our feelings, about where we're at, what our needs are, how we want our needs to be met, that doesn't involve guilt or shame. And I would also say that invites us to recognize that maybe we have to do some work to support somebody in not experiencing it as guilt or shame. It is hard to listen to our own stories that we've created about a situation or a person, the way that we interpret those stories, the way that we interpret our feelings and thoughts in relationship to those stories, and to be able to express them without blaming somebody, but just recognizing our own responsibility in the stories that we've made up, or that I don't even want to say made up, the stories that we are living in those relationships, to listen to where they are at and to listen to where we're at when we're communicating. Another couple of themes here: mirroring. To recognize that every single relationship is a mirror, and to let the triggers then teach us what needs to be healed, what needs to be loved, right? So things are going well, you're showing up well. Let's face it, that's the easy one. We're like, oh yeah, he's showing up as love, she's showing up as love. Oh, they're mirroring my love, right? Like, oh, they're showing up in great ways. It's like, well, I had a hand in that. I supported him in being that way, right? And when it's not that easy, when it is challenging, when they're showing up in a way that we've created a story or we just don't like, right? Like, to be able to say, yeah, I'm triggered, but listen, that says a lot about me, not about you. It may say some stuff about them, but that's their story, that's their work. My story is what is being triggered in me and why. And to be able to stay in that, to investigate why that is, and to recognize that the cleaner we come into the relationship, the less triggered we are. This morning, I was being triggered about just things that are going on in the world. I went on the other side of that wall before the service, and I just spent 5 minutes in complete silence because I wanted to show up in a different way. And I wanted that to be what got mirrored to me and not be as triggered about the things that were going on. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to stay with the offender, right? That doesn't mean that we have to stay with the offender, but it does invite us to stay with ourselves through the triggers, through the unhealed stuff, and through that which is coming up for us to investigate and to move through. And then the last thing I want to share with you is just taking responsibility taking responsibility for our own emotions and experiences, to spend time figuring out what they are so that we don't project them onto somebody else. And when we do project them, that we recognize that it is a projection. But it is a responsibility, and it is a difficult responsibility to take that responsibility, to know that it's never about the other person, it's always about me. To know that it's not about finding blame, but it's about taking responsibility. And the last thing I'll share with you is just forgiveness work and moment-to-moment grace. And listen, Tom and I, in our idyllic relationship that we've had, and all of you know that we've had it, we've had to go through a lot of forgiveness work for little things and for huge things. And it's a moment-by-moment experience. And I know, I'm not gonna spend time on talking to you about the forgiveness tools because you have them already. And there are ways in which you can find Byron Katie's The Work, that you can use Edwin Gaines' forgiveness techniques of writing, I forgive so-and-so 70 times in the morning and 70 times at night for 70 days, of writing your letters, of doing your healing and forgiveness meditation, of doing Ho'oponopono, whatever those tools are. And it's to take responsibility for doing those things and to be able to lean into that even when it becomes difficult, and especially when it becomes difficult. And to remember that in the imperfect relationship are the perfect opportunities for self-actualization. So forgiveness work, to me, and I hate to even say this, it's not even about just releasing the energy of it, but releasing it in such a way that we can look back and say, thank you, God, for that. Because now I know my truth. Thank you, God, for that, because now I know my wholeness. Thank you, God, because now I know what I like and what I don't like, who I want to be and who I don't want to be, who I want to surround myself with and who I don't want to surround myself with. Thank you, God. That is the forgiveness when we get to that place. Now, again, I tell you, these aren't easy, but guess what? Spirituality isn't for the faint of heart. What is going on within us is something so powerful that it takes work to uncover it more fully. And what is going on in the world outside of us, it triggers us, it moves us, and it's because there's something so great that we have to respond to it, to share from. And so the more that we work on our individual relationships, the more that we work on who we are, the greater peace, the greater love, the greater light that the world will experience. And if you don't believe me, but I believe that you do because you've had experiences of it, believe Dr. David Hawkins. He's a researcher in the field of consciousness. For those of you who may not know, he has a map of consciousness, and he has a book called Power versus Force. And scientifically, he has proven this work. And in his research, it shows that one individual who lives and vibrates at the energy of pure love will actually counterbalance the negativity of 750,000 individuals who do not. If you think that the world is seeking a greater sense of love, then you be that love and you make the shift and you create the change. One person vibrating at that level counteracts 750,000 that are not. Look around the room. Look at the people that are watching on the news. We have the power not only within ourselves, but within this community to fully change the world and the trajectory of our world if we own it, if we recognize what is truly happening and what is taking place within us, seeking to be that relationship out into the world. Now, I used to love this one last line this line in Moulin Rouge, which, by the way, during the break, I found out it's actually from a Nat King Cole that said, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and to be loved in return. You know what? Actually, I think it should have been cut, because the greatest thing we'll ever learn is just to love. Period. End of story. Nothing needs to come after that. Heaven on earth, peace on earth, when we know the greatest thing we'll ever learn is to love. Everybody say love. Love. Everybody say love. Love. Everybody say love. Love. And everybody say namaste. Namaste. Thank you all.